We do have in this week. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our Thursday book celebration. I'm Malika Albrecht, the founding editor of Redheaded Stepchild. And tonight we have another pressmate from a place that I deeply admire, Broadstone Books. If you've been here before, you know how obsessed I am with their authors. And this author here, Jane Rosenberg LaForge, is no exception. The cover I love of this book, and I'm super excited to hear you read from it. The Exhaust of Dreams Adulterated. And when you see the cover, I do want to ask you about the history on that, but you'll understand why I really love it. I just think it's amazing. I have put the link in there to go straight to Broadstone Books if you'd like to buy a book if you don't already have one. She has 8 volumes of poetry published and 4 full-length collection. Oh, 5.
Well, 5 full lengths and 4 and
Yeah, I
4
was going to say,
chapbooks.
yeah, I was going to
Okay.
break it down that way, like 8 total, 4 full lengths, 2 novels, The HAWKMAN and the Fairy Tale of the Great War. And that came out by Amberjack Publishing. And also it was a finalist in 2 categories of Eric Hoffer Awards in 2019. And Sisterhood of the Infamous, love the title, was published by New Meridian Arts, and was also a finalist in National Indie Excellence Awards in 2021. Sisterhood also received a starred review in Publishers Weekly, which I think is awesome. Her poetry and short fiction have been nominated for poetry for the Best of the Net, Best of Small Fictions, Pushcart Prize, and also StorySouth Million Writers Award. Please take a moment and welcome Jane with me, and thank you for letting us celebrate tonight your work. Congratulations on this book.
Thank you. And thank you so much for having me. And thank you so much for coming. And here's the cover, if
Yeah,
you're
that's what I
wondering
want
what
to
she was
say.
talking about. And I can talk about that later. And I'm going to read from the back of the book. I'm going to read the book backwards. So I can get to some poems that I haven't been able to read before. And this poem is called Time, Pacific Standard. And let me time myself. I almost forgot to do that so that there's time for everything that we want to happen. Okay. So this is called Time, Pacific Standard. The past was supposed to be easier to bear in Los Angeles, as it was abated by other people's bliss. Small victories like our mother removing birds' nests, whole and without injury to the infrastructure of stick and lint the birds appropriated from the discontents of our washer-dryer system. Just below the weeping bottle brush tree, the leavings of the laundry my mother said had to be boiled for the sake of hygiene and public decorum, mixed with milkweed and nettles that my sister and I tried to make perfume with. In the alley between apartment buildings, in the unit my mother purchased for my father to settle the last remnants of their marriage, I used to listen for crickets and mockingbirds until I had the windows replaced with high-tech materials to make the temperature inside tolerable and subsequently locked out all the sounds of other species. Nothing to keep my mind from racing to some inviolable finish. And in my hometown, I felt unwanted as when my body began changing in ways that refused categories of obvious and average, and I had to explain not only what I was, but what I could become in a future everyone was afraid of. This poem is called Kintsugi. My mother's lipstick leached into the wrinkles above her lips as she aged, like a river pressing its boundaries into a delta. Crude osmosis, best explored in an aerial photograph for National Geographic, one of those glossy pages we used to cut out for collages in school as the boys giggled over all those tribal tits. We girls would run our fingers over the dissociated devastation of the planet and thought it beautiful and horrible, like a duality inside of us. My mother also lived for 9 months an hour away from Nagasaki and never visited, as if radioactive articles could see through the new buildings like the reaches of a precious metal through ceramic. What she did do was work as a recreation director on an army base, collect straw hats, wooden dolls, satin shoes too small to wear, and silk paintings of the best omen, a mountain everyone wanted to dream of. My sister and I beheaded the dolls, punched holes in the hats, and with our American feet stretched the shoes to unconscionable limits. But to the lipstick, that was the point, how it fingered its way toward her nostrils, like filaments of tiny red light bulbs perpetually burning beside names in the synagogue, remembrance as fuel rather than the bursting of atoms. Occasionally, my mother would talk about finding a boyfriend, a new husband, but then she'd say she couldn't be bothered with the renovations. The lipstick would return as if marking seams and sutures on a face that no longer cared how it looked in a world where she knew she could no longer repair everything. Okay, let's see if I can find the next poem. This is called Regrets. In his final days, before his last stroke, my father preferred to remember my sister, who would not speak to him for decades, as the girl with the microphone, calling out a square dance at an elementary school event. She was 6 or 7, a mean little kid most of the time, he said, but with her voice amplified and commands hers to give, she was a marvel, dictating do-si-do and allemande left. My father really had her number, what she needed and could not get, and that she refused to abide, I think, though I know this only through supposition. How my father had her pegged when he could not have heard her through the stretched and garbled version of her voice, I don't know, as he first had to dance around the requisite distortion of his own apparatus, the nerves of his ears long since trampled and violated by an unnecessary incident in his adolescence. He insisted until the end that she should have been a doctor like those he saw at the nurse's station, in a white coat embroidered with her name and credentials, filling out charts with such verve and authority in red ink that was definitive. Not that anyone would read these charts as thoroughly as needed, but it was the intention he latched onto, faith and thirst to do what was right, regardless of outcome, or how it played out to audiences, second-guessing their idols and decisions. Okay, this is called Run for Your Life. My father used to watch that television show about the man who was terminal, 9 to 18 months left to live, hadn't taken a day off since law school, had to cram all his adventures into neat 43-minute segments. He'd let me see only the opening credits before bed, the screen mostly of a road slipping beneath a vehicle speeding through the desert, much like the one my father retreated to after college to learn the school teaching business. In the distance, a black mountain. In the foreground, a reified whiteness, like that deity that mocked Oppenheimer post-atomic, romantic and aloof, like the life of the mind my father wanted. My mother dared blow through this illusion, proving it was little more than wax and static, pillaging his idols, defiling his innocence. He'd never forgive her, she who he almost forsook for a large cash deposit from the family enterprise. He admitted he could have taken off for South America, hunted Nazis, lectured on his exploits, installed himself among the righteous. Instead, he did the right and regrettable, only to be found unconscious on the floor of the restaurant bathroom, an ulcer for his troubles, pant cuffs long past his ankles. Into the void he howled all the slights and insults, because what the body can't keep hold of, the daughter must revive. Other properties where he could have made his millions, or when he lost his private pilot's license. In our religion, it is up to the grandchildren to maintain the blessing, yet only as long as they care to, time and space coming in at astronomical prices. And my daughter, weighed down by world crises from the excesses of the previous generations, already buckling under the pain of trying. Okay, this is called Illustrated Rage. For one glorious week before I turned 17, I rode around town with a couple of boys, one driving, the other slinging his arm around my neck, shoulders, or my waist, anywhere his skin might make aberrant contact with my nerves and sweat, inspire a real conflagration in the back seat or with his ex. We were all at a party when she stole my steady, setting off a chain reaction that would engulf not only the couples involved, but also bystanders who spread accounts of the damage as though it was the equivalent of contraband or words scrawled on sacred tablets. I'd known the boyfriend stealer's beau since elementary school, when I was cowardly and awkward, and he was a few years older, beloved for his artistic talents. His parents were famous animators, creators of a show I now watch with my daughter because its themes and characters are considered relatable even decades afterward. It was never clear how the car was obtained nor who owned it, because the model had been ritually shamed in the national media for its volatile design and the manufacturer's refusal to remove it from the market. Hundreds, if not thousands, prowled and punctuated the city streets. As though this behavior was to be expected, we cruised into parking lots, supermarket and mall garages, loading zones, or anywhere we could feel the power of being seen, counted, remembered for the risks we took at the expense of our parents' ambivalence. I would rue the day I lost my reputation, my father conjectured, but the truth was I wanted nothing more than to be consumed in a car filled with boys, my remains inextricable from theirs, our final embrace so ruthlessly public. Okay. Here's one called My Father Gardening. Stranded, abandoned, discarded, made superfluous to the process, as my father said of his marriage, like saffron pistil and stamen become to white petals, a loss of what drives the flower to weeds amid roots, razor-shaped leaves imbued with bitterness, in soil, in sand, best for strawberries, or the aggregate, strata that protects kindred systems. They anchor a silence between breathing and retreat, a vital hesitation. I want to be cradled again, not in my parents' arms, but by the blades of grass, the backyard dirt that was like memories and muscle. The breezes that lifted and peeled sweat from the back of my neck. This is what we sacrificed when we sold out, cashed in, forgot the potential and harvests of limes and lemons, or the roses my mother preferred over tulips my father planted every autumn, regardless of fires, winds, and the source of their emanation, on his knees with his switchblade and bucket, as if cowering before his own creation. This is called Mirage. A mirage travels the path of least resistance. Something my father said my sister and I took because we were lazy, didn't want to be challenged. Our grades and accomplishments were nothing more than a trick the light plays as it decides on the most efficient distance, not a straight line as you might expect, but a curve toward cooler air where sweat and effort were not prerequisites. Just one among many steps I realize now I took toward transparency, like a hand waving through whatever optics are hovering at the end of the road, a storm or an oasis. There were signs on the highway for a kosher restaurant when our father drove us through Nevada, lecturing on the way life is, the returns from discipline, sufferance, though once we completed the mileage, the restaurant was not there, and the wants we voiced remained undeserved and disconsolate. We would chase the destination into the night and went to bed hungry. A lesson it was about projection, desire, and delay of gratification. The most prosperous among us absorb it early on, their way to victory, but we, the dead and subsisting, refuse its tenets and find others invisible, like plasma or a gas or a portrait of hatred. Okay, I want to skip all the way to the beginning, if I can find it. If you can bear with me just a little bit. This is called the Mojave, 1950 to 1953. When the dust comes, we should celebrate the scouring and resurrection of lost surfaces, glass bottles and slick garbage, those pieces from a Bakelite set flung during an argument between young marrieds, and still nothing gets resolved. The voices continue as if on a record. The frame of a stomped diploma, because that'll show those communists who's boss, what these United States are made from. My father with the wrong last name, the friction that makes the difference in blooms and gases, the light so high it cannot blind, but blurs distinctions between curious and committed. I once heard a man say this was the cleanest place on earth, the constant burnishing of wind and sand miraculous, suppressing pollens, the calm my father discovered in his lungs once he was there, the only setting that gave his inflamed tissues the patience that he wanted. This poem is called Flying Lessons. In the hours the sky approached its daily decision, relax into a soothing baby blue, like the eyes of my father, or revert to the red cast of airborne pollutants that toyed with a population of asthma and allergy sufferers. My father began his flying lessons. 12 miles due north from LAX, crows arriving and departing in a most curious flight pattern, explained to me in another context as an upside-down wedding cake. A pilot was trying to impress me with how dangerous it was, though my father wouldn't hear of it, so confident he was in his training, decades after it was involuntarily terminated. He took his lessons on Sundays, when the air trafficked more in plaintive voices than in fulfilled pledges, so there was room enough for mastering another dimension, because that's what flying is: pitch, roll, and yaw, though his mind worked exclusively in symmetrical terms, the seizing and swelling of the lungs, squeezing and twisting of his stomach, the crash and dissonance of his hearing, so the sound of instructions from the control tower was more like radio silence. Years later, he confessed how badly he had wanted a prescribed existence, codes and protocols for knowing how to act, what to do next, assuming the theoretical was fact, even if it meant crossing the prime green line dividing the heavens. All I could find of this venture were receipts and my mother's tired remuneration of the defects that grounded him. What can be cured now with surgery, implants, antibiotics, even steroids if he had had the patience. But he lacked that much as faith, even though such qualities animate flying, the belief that you can come back from disappearing into the sun like some sleek and hollow creature guided by providence. And now I would like to read a new poem that sort of goes along with this. It's called Another Flying Lesson, and it's very close by. There it is. Keeping his nose above the horizon is one perilous lesson in flight school my father might have mastered, an exercise on balance, confidence, and endurance in three intangible dimensions, such as when he was sent to the butcher's to pick up dinner and witnessed a flightless bird separated from its feathers. He left empty-handed, vowing to never again eat chicken, though he tolerated other dishes his mother prepared by rummaging through scraps and fragments as she tried to compensate for the family's perennial impoverishment. Pickles and bread pudding, fish that did not swim but was melded together from three distinct species. When his mother taught me to make cookies, she left out sugar, and the result had to be consumed as digestives. In home economics, I dribbled a spot of hot water into the custard while removing the double boiler from the burner. I received a C for my effort on cream puffs with chocolate sauce and left class wondering how I'd explain such a poor mark to a man who thought anything less than an A was lethal. If only I'd known he had his own failures, one because of his ulcer, making him a risk even in the flight simulator. I have 1 minute left, so I'll just read a random poem. Fire in the sage, as velvet as rabbit ears, shell in a rock tumbler, all the stages of nature to be worn upon the sternum, as would a she-devil in the face of her new husband. Bones and other miracle words for projectiles, shotgun, catapult, intercontinental ballistic missile. I suppose they're quite the millstones to bear, but sanctioned by world courts and peace prize winners. To limit bloodshed and collateral massacres, my friends piled chains and fibers around my neck that my father had already prefigured. Thank you very much.
Please. Oh, Jane, I knew I was going to love this. I just didn't realize how much. Y'all can unmute, just take a moment to say, wow.
That was what a great ride. Oh my goodness.
Oh, yeah. That's what I wanted to say. It felt like I had just been on like this roller coaster adventure.
Yeah, yeah. Wow.
With some tour stuff on the way.
It's a poetic stand-up.
Yeah, the wit and the humor, but also the speaker's voice is just fabulous. Like I want to listen to her describe anything. Absolutely anything. I'd be happy. But I have to say, I don't think I was so acutely aware of the auditory realities of a poem, not just the way there was actual sounds within the poem talked about, but also the sounds of the words in the poem. I mean, I really felt like a lot of collision and like the words themselves were talking amongst themselves and the turns of phrases. I am obsessed with publicly where I got that's I said I was going to make this a t-shirt. Oh God, can anybody find ruthlessly public. I'm sorry, that's my new mantra. That poem was so much fun. I'm gonna let other people talk. Full of zingers is what Robbie just said. Gosh, yes. Anybody have any questions for Jane about how this manuscript came together? We talked about the cover too, Jane. I did want to circle back to that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Well, a lot of the poems take place pretty much all of them take place in Los Angeles. And so I told the publisher, I want a picture of smog. And the woman's name, I believe, is in the book, who did the front cover. but of course, designed by Ashley Johnson. And I think she was an intern there. And she found just a sort of a generic picture of the Los Angeles skyline, such as it is. And she messed it up. She did something to it. It was a Polaroid, and she messed with the surface of it. And that's how we got what we got.
That's nice.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it looks like you can see the lines within the cover. Like there's like the photograph itself has been altered and looks like it's been through some things. I love it. I think she did a fabulous job.
Yeah. Broadstone is great. I'm involved with them because several of my friends have asked me to copy edit books that were going to be published.
She just antagonized her into barking. Get in here now, guys.
So, yeah, they're great.
Yeah.
And those poems, Jane, wow.
Well, I'm glad you liked them.
I love your delivery. You know, like they fit the poems perfectly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You know, you're a storyteller, and the narratives are they flow, and they're like everyone's been saying, the turns of phrase, and you know, really enjoyed that. I got to get a copy of that book.
Well,
Please do.
A good thing you brought it up, Cindy, is I just put the link in there again.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
And I do think that part of what is so moving about the work is, like you said, Cindy, someone who's a storyteller, the images of different people that come in the poems and the way the speaker is seeing things, to me, is so fascinating, very unique. But immediately it sets the tone. I mean, I want to go back to some of the phrases that we kept all putting together. My father with the wrong last name. Several of us were like, three of us at the same time, because it's
that got me. I'm a New York Jew, so four of us said that at the same time. That's pretty crazy, right? Mirage travels with the path of least resistance, as if cowering before his own creation. That one too hit me, Robbie. There's so many like that I think it's kind of a delight to have somebody who creates these phrases that just vibrate off the page and stay in the air. Reminds me of what Keith Flynn always said about poems are, you know, the bed is the page is a cold bed for poems. They're meant to live in the air. And I really thought of that with you reading, Jane, because your poems really enjoy the air.
So, I loved the way you read the poems, Jane. I can't wait to see them on the page. But your reading of them was just unapologetic and just so powerful. It was really a treat.
That's very nice of you to say.
It was
quite
a ride
on my readings.
I'm going to ask you a question.
The influence between the Southern accent and the New York accent. You know, there's something synchronistic about. Because you know I love Southern accents, but I'm a New Yorker. So,
Robbie, you had a question?
Yeah. So, Jane, you know, I've read your books, and I know that you have written some memoir, prose memoir. So this is a question people ask me too. Why do you choose to write your memoir in poetry rather than prose?
Because it just comes out that way.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, I wrote a memoir.
I know.
And it was about a very specific thing that happened in my life while I was in high school, and I wrote it like a coming of age story. But there are all these other things that happened, and I guess they are more poetic to me. They're sort of disconnected things. They don't necessarily add up to a whole, like the experience I had in high school. And so in order to give them their due, I'm writing there in poems. And then some poems that I have in this book, rewriting now. And that's why there are 2 poems about flying lessons. I'll be writing about flying lessons until the end of time. Because that was a huge failure for my dad. That was a huge, that's like all he wanted to do was fly airplanes. And
he couldn't.
and I don't think he ever got over it, among many other things that happened to him. So and
My
it,
father
it
flew
made him
airplanes
a
too.
certain way. So I'm just sort of running over the same ground over and over again. More interesting to do it in poetry than in prose, I guess.
Kind of like what is Monet with all the different paintings of the same thing.
Yeah, if you think about it, the slant of light changes everything. One shadow in one spot is all different. And I think that it's interesting that there is, like, I was aware of how words were kind of holding in the air with your reading. And I kind of feel like the flying lessons are something that embedded themselves in you. There is a lot of feats that you do that are kind of midair with your turns of phrases. That's fascinating to me. So when you read that other poem, Flying Lessons, again, I was like, the recent one, I was like, yes, great. Another flying lesson. It feels like something that would draw you. It's fabulous.
Well, I'll be asking you for a blurb someday.
I would love. Oh, you
She writes great blurbs.
Anytime. Yes, anytime.
Or a review.
I just wrote a blurb for my book, and it was incredible.
I am the girl. I mean that, but
my publishers love your blurb.
Oh, that's awesome. So now, yes, Jane, I will happily, anything you write, send it my way. I will blurb. I will enjoy every second of that.
Thank you.
Because, I love to hear that kind of beautiful sonic architecture in work that starts to build on itself. And I think I Am That Girl had that same kind of element, Cindy. I think
someone else said that. My other blurb said there's no defining moment. They're cumulative. And at first I got annoyed with no defining moment. They're not climactic. But I know what he meant. And at first I really didn't like his blurb. I said I like the light because I don't like his, but I got used to it. But they're doing for my 10 little poems, they're really on top of it. It's an amazing experience,
I think that's the beauty of being a poet, and that's kind of what I wanted to go back to, because Jane, we were kind of talking ahead of time about Broadstone Books, and this is the book that they chose to publish, but when do you know that your poems are starting to build into something? Does that, and what kind of writer are you? Are you someone who's fairly disciplined, or are you more moved by inspiration?
I would say that I'm both, in the sense that I write every day, or I try to. Sometimes I only write an hour. But I sit down at the machine every day, and sometimes I'll be working on a longer project, but I'll get an idea from a poem, so I'll go do the poem, that kind of a thing. So I wrote a book about called My Aunt's Abortion, and it was about an illegal abortion my aunt had in California in the 60s. And I wrote that book very deliberately. I said, all these poems are going to be about this situation. But most of the time I'm just sort of writing randomly, and then I'm trying to figure out what goes together and what doesn't. So I kind of do a little of everything, because I have the attention span of a 2-year-old, and
you don't. You do not.
So, well, it feels like it. Anyway, it feels like it right now. But
I hang around with a 2-year-old. You don't have the.
Oh, okay. Well, whatever. I used to hang around with a 2-year-old too. But anyway,
Me too.
So and I get frustrated and I get impatient. So I usually have a number of things to do in case one
Okay.
thing is working that
Mm.
day.
Okay, that's fascinating to me because it doesn't surprise because your poems do have an expansiveness and a lot of different things that they follow, even as they are coming together as one. So that's fascinating to hear you talk about your work. That there, was one project that really had to be focused, and that's important. But that oftentimes you are finding as you go maybe what the poems are saying to each other, which poems are kind of starting to group around something. That's fabulous. And I also like that you are disciplined, but you're also not super strict about it. And that appeals to me because I tend to be very undisciplined. So that was interesting to think about. Thank you.
Thank you
Anybody
for
have any other?
this time.
Yeah. Oh, it's awesome. Anybody have any other questions or thoughts for Jane, or anything that you want to go back over that she said that you're not going to forget anytime soon? I'm still obsessed with Ruthlessly Public. Yeah, what the body can't keep hold of, the daughter must. There were some lines there that the right and regrettable again. He did the right and regrettable. I think that there's a lot of lines that now I want to go find in the poems because they were just so striking. And that's when you wrote, Cindy, these are such powerful poems. All right, guys.
You guys are so nice.
We just delight in watching people do something so well. Seriously, Jane.
That was such a ride. It was such a great ride to go on. Seeing you and hearing you read those poems. It was fabulous.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad you liked it.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Okay,
I gotta get
also,
the book.
you just say that Robbie had lipstick that went where did you find that, Robbie? As an emoticon going up?
Yeah, okay, I'll do it again.
Jealous. I don't think you got to
that.
That was so
You could
fun.
probably type it in, where the emojis are.
I did.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
I'm always typing stuff in and it's very rarely there, so I was happy to see it.
I never knew how to do it, and then I figured it out recently.
Well, I run two, reading series, so I've had plenty of time to figure it out. Here's a good one.
I did it.
They're not showing up for me.
Oh, they are?
Oh, there it is.
That's another one. That's lips.
Yeah. Okay, I didn't know that was an option. So
how do you do that?
I'm going to be
go
so
to react.
obnoxious.
You go to
Go
react.
to the little heart or the react, and then if you go send with an effect to the three dots and click more, it gives you search emoji, which is where Robbie's been doing amazing stuff, and I didn't even know that was there.
Now watch this.
Oh my great goodness.
That's cool.
The top line puts stuff through your picture. The bottom line sends it through the screen.
Yeah. Okay, now
There you
that's
go. I didn't see that one. I like that one.
that was a plane from
Oh.
Jane's dad.
Oh, I've been looking in the wrong place. That's why I haven't been seeing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I am thoroughly obsessed now. So wait, you said that. Okay, but wait a minute. How did you get them to come from the screen? Oh, the reaction. Send with effects, send with the reaction. Ah. Look, there I am with the little plane. Okay, that's upset. I have a new problem to deal with on myself. Let's go to open mic.
I'm so excited.
Robbie for the mini lesson. And Jane, thank you so much for letting us celebrate with you this.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you very much. I'm going to turn my mic off now.
Okay. I've got Chrissy first.
Oh, wow. Okay, so this poem, I got a set of Layla Chadi oracle cards that came with prompts. And so this is one of the prompts. It's called, I was born a waning gibbous moon woman. The moon is a full plate, is a scrambled blessing, a scatter across my face. And I answered, I felt a little mushroomy, ignited by naked truth. Anxiety teethes. Detachment is expected of ordinary daughters, arguing you to see a corporeal memory. Because I need to flame absence into silence. A constant daydream knots my throat, holds my body of questions. My joy at this, exactly nothing between heart and mouth, is oblong. Feminine strength, purposeful dominion. My then I cannot forget. The reason a secret taste my tongue in layers. I stare beyond snow-globed pines, I rustle beauty. Let the howl hear my hunger. Even though I struggle to open, discernment finds me, framing between ribs, truth. Until a bay leaf whispers full circle, I am firm in my chair. I can only observe. I am letting communication meditate. Thank you.
Oh, wow.
Thank you, Christy. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, remember to
was
check the chat
amazing.
section.
Thank you.
Let the howl hear my hunger.
Yeah.
Robbie, I have you next.
Okay. I decided to read a bi-coastal poem since we're about bi-coastal business here today. From East to West, this poem appeared in the December Thimble. From East to West. Once it was necessary to imagine the sky. Small, I saw just a slice, tiny puzzle piece, the bit between electric lines and Sterling Street's brick row houses. The moon mostly eluded me, and the fugitive stars, hidden beneath clouds of car exhaust. I had to move out west to see past that illusion. On the ride to California and overheating Datsun, New Mexico's wide skies and Arizona's deserts sparked only fear. The space between the lights of human settlements so wide, I shivered. It was a feral sky, home to fire, flood, cosmic collisions that could swallow my world whole, belch out 1,000 galaxies, swirling like protozoa under the lens. I could see for the first time that matter, even that big tree or you or I, were actually as insubstantial as a wisp of cloud floating across the midday sky. Thank you.
Everyone needs to buy Robbie's book about to disappear. I bought about 5 copies to give to people.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Because, and I gave one to Bob, and, we were marveling at these ekphrastic poems. Amazing. Amazing.
Truly was fun to celebrate. But yeah, necessary to imagine the sky.
I put together a whole second, I put
Mm-hmm.
together a second collection of ekphrastic poems.
Oh, great.
It's not finished yet, but it's going to be called, I think, Possible Worlds.
Possible worlds. Everybody think that into fruition. Feel it out there. Yeah, because then we get to celebrate and have the extraordinary visual journey along with the auditory celebration of poems. That was gorgeous. Yep. Thank you for putting that in there, Robbie. So if you don't already have About to Disappear, you can copy and paste that right there. Karen, I'll have you next.
Okay, do I sound all right?
Yes, ma'am.
I have this crazy, I've never had this on Zoom. I've got a little thing on my screen that says speed up and it's got an arrow and I'm like, I feel like it wants me to click it, but I'm afraid to do that. So I don't know why it's there.
It's showing up for us.
What's weird is I see it, but I can't click it.
just to let you know.
I don't know what it
So
is.
it's
I got
showing up in
kicked
her-
out of the Zoom a little bit ago and had to come
Yeah,
back
it's
in, and then
weird.
I brought a speed up button with me. It's like
Hurry up,
I went
Karen.
into the past. I don't know. When we're through, I'll hit it and we'll see where we all end up.
Okay.
Okay, all right. So here's a poem. This is very fresh ink. It might be too fresh. I don't know. I just finished writing it about 30 minutes before the Zoom. Okay, we'll see how it goes. Dawning before being well-centered awake. After borrowing some of Michael Heddich's end-of-line words from his poem Awake Before Dawn in the Halo of Bees. And moving my shadow aside, it's as if I hear her calling. Who's calling? Stretching out as I am stretching out. Is this the dance of my waking? This is the dance of my waking up, of my awakening to my usual gray on white scribblings, my trying for the hatching of an interesting poem, while smiling to myself and my shadow at using her here in the writing of her rather than writing her down as it, which would surely feel like poking at her with a stick, which with such an unfeeling non-gendered pronoun as it. She is a reflection of me in a shadow kind of sense, where re means again, and flexion should actually be spelled with an X in its middle rather than its CT, which deals with the anatomical act of bending, which is how I see my shadow bending away from and always back into me, just as I bend away from and also back into her, into poeming, into maybe a bit of the reclosing of my eyes, the releasing of the light both of us might be able to not quite reach into quite yet. Weirdo poem,
I
y'all.
just adore you. Yeah. Cindy just read, I love the tone and tenor of your poems, Karen. Yeah, so
Oh.
imaginative. I always feel like I'm kind of eavesdropping on someone's inner thoughts, and the wit and wordplay just is so much fun to me. So much
Wit.
fun to see you
They're
create.
so conversational and, and they're great. They're very well crafted.
Y'all are so
Yep.
great.
Great open mind.
I love y'all.
It's just fun to, it's fun to hear. I think our group, I have said this a lot, our open mics are fire. And speaking of which, we're going to go to Bob.
Okay. This is a very short one. The dawn requires us to remember the light we have always known.
And I don't even mute myself anymore, Bob, because you always hammer me. I can't even get all the things I want to say. I love that. I admire how you do that.
Thank you.
So, yeah. So all I put is requires us to remember. See, and that's what I love, that we get to have so many different ways of interacting with words amongst each of us, and the deep admiration I have for the skill sets everybody brings. Cindy, I have you next.
Well, since Valentine's Day is coming up, I figured I'd read two very short and, as usual, snarky poems about love. Why Chemistry 101 is Bad for My Love Life, Ode to Dorothy Parker. Men don't make passes at girls who pass gases. I wrote it in chemistry class when I was at school. In chemistry. And one more. I'll do two more because they're short. Love in the Computer Age. I once had a lover, and my life was complete. He made a quick exit when I pressed delete. I did a lot of online dating. And one more. Love and the Law. When the lawyers of love threw a summons at my feet, I duly responded, but then I lost the case. That's it.
Oh, that's so good. Yep, the past gases. Uh-huh. Want to
I
make
hope
that
no one was eating.
make that my Valentine's Day card to everybody.
I have a question for Cindy. Does your pillow on your couch say be bold or italicize?
Say that again?
Does the cushion on the top of your sofa say be bold or italicize?
Oh, it says be bold or italic, not regular.
Oh,
And I guess they mean
okay.
like regular font.
Yep.
Because I'm a copy editor, so someone
Yes.
I was going to say, if you don't already go to Cindy's
Oh, I take her
Monday,
quizzes all the time.
yeah, that's what I was going to say. Good, good. I have you last, Laura.
Oh, well, it'll be leased because this is brand new and it'll be reworked. Let's put it that way. I haven't been writing as much as I've been doing some art things. So this came out of Nadia Coburn did these meditation things, and I don't even have a name for it yet, but it came out of a poem she read, and I do not have the author or the poem written down. So you might recognize some of the words. It was just words that were pulled from it. Anyway, this is it. I speak for the trees that bring themselves to life after a winter of underneathedness. They know to stir when the blood moon waxes, then wanes. I speak for the snail that persists in its journey, oblivious to the truck in the distance, hurtling toward unknown doom. We never see it coming. I speak for the moss, greening in the face of ever hotter days, holding on to hope with the unknowing of the coming rain. I allow and I see, because to act is to risk, and to risk is to be that tree, that snail, that small patch of moss, yearning for spring, safe passage, and the cool restorative rain. Thank you.
Oh, I love that.
Beautiful.
My eco poem.
Oh.
So gentle. You read
Yeah,
so
it's
gently.
a very soft but wise poem
Oh,
as it moves. I love that. Yay. Make sure you check the chat section. And I am going to read a little poem, EKG as Landscape, and it has a little epitaph for Jennifer, June 2nd, 1964 to June 16th, 2014. The ICU nurse gives each of us a tiny strip of paper rolled into a small glass bottle. Jennifer's agonal rhythm slows less than 20 beats a minute. The sharp peaks and deep valleys gone. What has been a wild ride softens to mere hills, heads towards a flat-lined road, the horizon running off the paper, light as breath in our hands. There.
oh my God, Malika.
That's
The
a
power
soft
of that
little poem.
imagery. And
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Oh, thank you guys.
Wow.
I have
Such a treat to hear you, Malika. We
well,
don't get to
Karen,
hear you enough.
yeah, Karen said you're gonna read tonight, and I said okay. I did have that poem. I have been tinkering with it, and
That was beautiful. Oh, thank you. Thank
yeah.
you.
So thank y'all for listening to it and encourage me, and also for being such excellent company today. I have enjoyed it thoroughly, Jane.
Oh.
We would love you to come back anytime you want to, and the next book that you put out and I get to blurb, we're celebrating that one too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Calendar.
Jane,
I see Google.
Kugel
He's a
says hi. She
Oh,
wants her treat. It's time for her treat.
oh,
There are a lot of
She
cat lovers among poets, I've noticed. There's always a cat in the.
well,
You're
she
not
makes
wrong.
it.
so good.
She disappears
I
whenever
raise
Jane
big cats.
or anyone else shows up. So
Oh, so
I
Jane,
thought,
do you see her in person?
I see her in California every once in a while. Yeah.
Ah,
but she never
Yeah.
sees Kugel. She won't see Kugel.
I haven't seen the cat yet.
oh,
No, because she's hiding.
it's a great name too.
Yeah, Kugel, the eater of hearing aids.
Oh,
Bringing that image back up.
oh.
All right, guys, be well.
Take
And
care.
we're having another book celebration. I was going to
So
do
good.
once a month, and it looks like I'm slowly heading back to twice a month, and you know what'll happen to me. I'm doing you guys.
Hey.
Oh,
Well, let's hope
we
I
love
have
these.
another one for you next year.
Oh, Malika, let
There
me
you
hit
go.
this speed up and see what happens
Oh
before
yeah,
we
do the
leave.
speed up.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
we may
what
we
is
may all
that?
suddenly be in tomorrow, but when we hang up, I don't know. Let's see what
We're doing
happens.
anything?
I'm
Oh,
getting ready to hit
my
it. Okay, I hit it. It's not doing a daggone thing.
I'm
I
still
can't even
here
make
in
it.
the same
Super
spot.
fast. Yeah.
What
I
It
didn't
didn't
go
do anything.
anywhere.
We need
Did
to
it do
Google
it?
why that
Sit there.
happened.
What in the heck is it?
And
It's not.
everybody can see it, right? On
I
her
can
Let's
thing
see
it
it
says-
speed up. What?
Don't
but we
jump
can't
on.
click it. We
I
can't
got
click it.
something. I got something.
What
What?
is it?
Says I got view profile, chat, and pin. It's offering me to view
Oh.
profile, to chat, or to pin.
When you go to her
There's a
speed up,
Yeah, when I hit her speed up, I get those three
I
choices.
don't think anybody else can do it. Can
I
anybody
can't
else
do
speed
it.
up?
I have
Where-
no
how do you-
superpowers.
Okay,
How do
Jamie,
you do
Karen,
that?
you are going to work together.
No such
yeah.
All right.
It's there you go.
I was going to say, send her one of your cards.
That is so weird. Jane,
Because
come
if I
back.
click it, I get
Even if
nothing.
you're not a featured reader, come back. Come back
Okay,
and
the
hang out.
when I hit chat, it
What does it
gives
do?
me a direct chat to you. Like you'll
To-
see here. Hello, Karen.
No, I'm not seeing it.
Well,
No, you have
Oh,
to do a private chat.
Who are you
Yes.
actually talking to, Jane?
I just typed hello, Karen.
I just made it
You
go
see it?
away.
Oh, she
Oh,
did
you
make it
did.
go away.
I made it go away.
She
The
did.
Okay.
ghost in the machine, y'all. Woo!
I'm sorry that now you have to slow down, Karen. Go the speed
I know.
limit.
You know, I should probably slow down a lot every day.
Bye, folks.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.
Very much.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much.